Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Lighthouse Project. Thank you everybody for coming out. I want to go over tonight's generous sponsors. Anonymous, in honor of the Refuah Shlema of Anat Bat Efrat, and for Michael Ben Malek's birthday. Hashem should keep giving him strength to help and inspire his relatives.
Nobody heard it. Okay.
Good. Eliana and Yoni Robin, Leula Nishmat of Aaron Dov Ben Miriam Rachel Zichrono Bracha, and for the Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel Ben Sarabatia and Devorah Vega Bad Reiser Shava complete Refuah Shlema.
Amen.
Anonymous, in honor of the Refuah Shlema of Elisa Bracha Bat Zivia, and in thanks to Gedalia for the inspiration. Yesher Koach, we want Mashiach now.
Amen.
Anonymous, for the Refuah Shlema of Shaul Ben Berta, and in memory of Edward David Shaul Zichrono Bracha. May Hashem bless Gedalia with health, strength, patience to continue to help and bless him in his personal life.
Amen.
Yosef Laser, in honor of Bracha Bat Sarah in Queens, New York.
Amen.
Anonymous, for the Zivug of Ari Ben Rota Malka. Anonymous, in honor of Frida Bat Leah, receiving abundant da'at and thinking positive always. Anonymous, amen, in memory of Isaac Ben Meir Zichrono Lebracha. Anonymous, amen, for the Parnasa and Mazel of Harab Shimon Ben Sultana and Natasha Naomi Bat Tzipora, and for the Shidduch and Mazel of Sultana Bat Tzipora.
Amen.
Anonymous, for the continued health of Dvorah Chaya Bat Leah, and she should marry her Bashert soon.
Amen.
Thank you guys.
Okay, welcome to the Lighthouse, guys. Just August 14th is going to be at Queens. August 15th, we're going to be in Toronto for 2 classes. August 14th is on trauma. August 15th is going to be on empowerment and pipelines. Next week we're going to be off also because we're going to be away. Okay, so today's class is Rethinking Positive Thinking. I was first studying this class, I was studying this book called by Gabriel Odegen. It's called Rethinking Positive Thinking. So I usually need a lot of new material for my classes in recovery. And then all of a sudden, when I started reading her book and started seeing the science behind it, I said, oh my God, this is exactly lesson 66 in Rabbi Nachman's teachings. So whenever we're able to blend the science and we're able to blend the spirituality together, there's nowhere to run. Because you get hit with the science and you get hit with the spirituality, you know this is definitely the way. Part of my classes is getting people prepared. You could see we're probably in the richest country in the world, and yet 25% of the people are depressed. So many people that we know are stuck in trauma. So many people that are stuck on limitations. It's like, how could it be? Like, you're in America. You're not in Guatemala. Like, you're in America. So we know that the problem is not a lack of resources. It's a lack of mental willpower for a person to succeed today. How do you have a 70% obesity ratio today when people have options? There's information. There's everything. So obviously there's something more than that. And I think the way Rab Nachman explains it and the way this book explains it, it's going to give you a reality, a good way to plan goals with reality. Many times I always speak about this concept called the tzimtzum a lot. Because we have to understand, we have to, at the end of the day, when things go back to the blueprint of creation. All you have to do is go back to the blueprint. What's the blueprint of creation? God created, he wanted to create, he had abundant light, but in order for him to create a world, in order to create any kind of reality, what did he have to do? He had to condense his light to create a vacated space. You need to remember that. That means God had to minimize himself in order to put plan in action. How is that practical related to us? I also have this light to lose 50 pounds, to be successful, to get married, anything I want. Where is this light coming from? It's a desire that's in me. God gives you a desire to do something. The rest, you have to develop it. He gives you the idea. You know what? That's the girl I should marry. He gives us the idea. He gives us the light. But if we're not able to condense that light into practicality, what happens? Our goals become aborted. Or we just get stuck in wishing, or we get stuck in just potential. So our job in life is really to bring potential into actual. This is exactly the way the world was created. After Sunday was created, Monday was created. Every single day has a new creation, but there has to come to an end on the previous day. So today what's happening is people try to do something, and I hear the phone calls, I see the people in recovery. They try, they get excited, 2-3 days, smack in the face, they quit. Because they're not planning realistically. So this book called Rethinking Positive Thinking, it's a whole different way of thinking. Yes, I'm positive, but if I don't have the right willpower, if I don't have the right motivation, if I don't have the right game plan, guess what's going to happen? I'm just going to get stuck in wishing. And what happens when you just wish? Studies shows that when she originally came out with the book to show how if a person daydreamed about their goals, what would happen? What would happen? What would be the signs of just daydreaming? So what happens while they were daydreaming about their goals? They felt relaxed, their blood pressure went down. But what happens is when the goal came, then they just got stuck in relax mode. What happened, she realized that it's not enough. You're going to need to turn the problem. Why our goals are not being hit today is because of the lack of desire and the lack of a push. So what she realized is just wishing. If a person just wishes for an idea, he's going to stay there in la la land. So what does it seem soon? Why did God create us with so many obstacles? Why do we have to go through so many troubles, obstacles, etc.? It's because at the end of the day, to keep you in check, to get you out of la la land. That's the purpose of a tzimtzum. The whole purpose of a tzimtzum in life is to get you in a reality check. We can take this example in business. We can take this example in relationships, in dating. For example, if you're expecting a guy to come with a rose and come to pick you up, Cinderella style, and he says one wrong comment, you don't expect it. So what happens? Oh, he said this, he's no good. You know how many times that's happened? People say one little comment, no, he's not good. They already judged the guy in one comment. But we have to understand, in order for anything spiritual to happen, there must be thorns. There must be klipot. That's the way it works. So rethinking positive thinking is, yes, I am positive, but I'm going to have to plan the thorns in my life. This way I have a more realistic approach on life. Instead of, oh, positive, positive, positive. Next thing you know, you get hit in the face. What do you do then? So why this is so important is because our job is to bring from potential to actual. And if a person realizes that if he's planning his goals and he's not getting hungry enough, there's a good chance he's going to be in la la land. So why do we have these struggles? Why does a vessel constantly have to break? It's because to get you to change your strategy. God doesn't want a person to be constantly trying and be disappointed. No. If I want more than 8 ounces on this cup, I have to create a bigger vessel. That's very simple. How do I create a bigger vessel? Through a new strategy, through a new way of thinking, etc. If a person does this in his life, in his relationship, he's already planning his obstacles. It's not negative, it's realizing that I need to plan my obstacles in life because any level that I reach, there must be a new creation for every single level. And this is exactly what our sages are telling us 250 years ago. 250 years ago. The Noam Melech says, when a person starts serving God, any kind of serving God, he's going to have to realize that every single path to God is a constant, it's like a garden overgrown with thorns and thistles. Basically, we are created in this order. Our job is to make it into order. How do you do that? You're going to have to do that through hunger, and you're going to have to do that through discipline. Why are people aborting their goals? Again, lack of desire, lack of discipline. We're also going to show you the signs. The path to Hashem is like a garden that is overgrown with thorns and thistles. These represent all the wicked impurities, the thorns, the klipot. Remember, we have a beautiful, beautiful fruit. But if there wasn't a struggle, if there wasn't a shell on that fruit, then anybody can take it. So specifically, we have to go through these klipot. We have to go through a dating, and all of a sudden, I have to all of a sudden, deal with 3 or 4 things that I don't like in a relationship, because those are the klipot that are stopping you from seeing the big picture. Remember, any time that we are suffering today, Rav Nachman says it very clearly. It's due because we're not focused on the tachlis. We're not focused on the end result. We're not focused on the big picture. If you look at today, why are people suffering? Because they're not focused on the big picture. They're not seeing the reality. if I start coming to God, if I start getting close, all of a sudden the guy says, you know what, I'm not going out with these girls. I'm going to start dating Jewish girls, or I'm going to start dating the proper girls. What happens? Next thing you know, the girl tells him a comment he doesn't like. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. Because now you're going the right way. Now what happens to all those years that you didn't do the right way? Where's the price you have to pay? There's a price. Where's the price? Because why should you skip the line when another guy's been waiting in line already for 3 years? And all of a sudden, oh, I want to be religious, I want to get closer to God, I want to get married. Let me just skip the line. What would you say all of a sudden? Everybody's waiting on line and you just skip the line. What are they going to tell you? Get back in the Bible, back in the line. It's exactly how it works in life, in spirituality. There's a level, that's why it's so difficult today to deal with patience. So again, every rose that you want has to have a thorn. Because these are the klipot, these are the external things. If anybody here keeps Shabbat, we know that on Friday afternoon, there's this negative energy that's in the air for 2 hours right before Shabbat. What's going on? I'm trying to keep Shabbat, I'm trying to and all of a sudden there's fighting, and there's this unbelievable negative energy that's in the air. Everybody's yelling at each other. If you're in a Moroccan house, times 10. It's just crazy. Those 2 hours before Shabbat, you realize, what in the world is going on? Our sages already told us, get out of the house. Why? It's because there's this ruach ra'ah that wants to destroy the Shabbat. The same thing. Shabbat is a concept of something pure, but what happens if they get you before Shabbat, the whole Shabbat you're going to be fighting over stupidity. They ruin where Shabbat is the makor of the bracha for the whole week, so they ruin it on Friday afternoon. The same thing, when the Jews got out of Egypt, what happens? They got out of Egypt on the run. They didn't have the proper vessels to receive the Torah. So what had to happen? They had to go through 49 days of refining their character. And during those 49 days at Shavuos, they merited. They didn't just walk out of Egypt and get the Torah. So remember, we have to understand that rethinking positive thinking, which we're going to discuss, is really planning your obstacles. Planning your obstacles, being realistic. If I'm going on a new relationship, there's probably going to be 4 things I don't like. There's going to be 4 comments I don't like about this guy. He's going to throw them at me, but guess what? I'm prepared. When I started dating my wife, it was like a nuclear war. There was bombs coming. She threw a bomb at me. I threw a bomb at her. We didn't expect it, but at the end of the day, I realized that this is not an easy road. Anything with kedusha, anything with holiness, anything with good in your life, if you're not ready for the obstacles, you're going to get crushed. And this is how I'm trying to explain to you. A tzimtzum is to get you ready, to get you prepared. Why are people so anxious? Why are people so in fear? They're not ready. They're not prepared. So I think the difference in my life, it's not that I'm smarter than the average person. I'm very easy. I get up very quickly. And I think that's what's really helped me in my life. I get up very quickly. I fall quickly, but I get up very quickly because I'm already expected. I expect these things on the go. And that's a humble approach. Because if I'm already expecting the klipot, if I'm already expecting these thorns in my life, then what happens? I expect them, I know what to do. When this happens, I do this. So it teaches you to be humble, and it teaches you to move quickly, not stay in the story and blame the whole world while you're not succeeding. Parents, friends, husbands, exes, which is today. What are we doing? So we're not succeeding? Okay, who do I blame? Let me blame my father. Let me blame this person. And that's a very arrogant approach, unfortunately, today. Many people are stuck in the worst darknesses because they want to blame other people. This guy put me here, that guy put me, that guy put me. No, specifically you're in a tzimtzum, and our job is to recreate reality, what we want. And this is why in Mitzrayim, what happened? Yaakov lived in Mitzrayim. First he served Hashem in Egypt in constricted mode, and then he merited the 17 good years. So this is a constant process that we have to go through. Pierce Steele came out with a motivation equation, right? He almost won the nuclear prize in motivation. So what did he say? This guy is Pierce Steele was he's wrote many books on motivation. He coached the Navy SEALs, etc. And he gave an amazing, which exactly mirrors all of our teachings. That means all of our teachings that I speak to you about, it's exactly proven today in science. He says, our goals, he gave a famous equation. He says, our goals equal our value. How much do you want that goal? Times expectancy. your confidence in it. That means if I don't have a desire for that thing, if I don't have a desire to get married, if I don't have the ratzon to get married, what happens? One little excuse, I'm done. Without the desire, without the first part, without the value, without the motivation, without the desire, then I can have desire, but what happens if I don't believe in myself? So what's the next thing? Expectancy. So desire and expectancy. How confident are you in that specific goal? Divided by, you can look it up, motivation equation, which is genius. It's exactly Rav Nachman's Torah, which is emunah and ratzon in Hebrew terms, divided by your impulsivity. What's stopping me from hitting a goal today? I can't stop putting my phone down. I can't put those cheese doodles down. I can't do this. The impulsivity is what's stopping me from my success, which today, it's one of the toughest things to battle. I pray to God that I shouldn't have so much impulsivity. With what happens? We see a text, we want to answer it. We see this, we want to go for it. This is taking 10 minutes away from my potential goal. This is taking 10 minutes away from what I need to do. This is taking 10 minutes away. So the impulsivity times delay, your procrastination. So what are the two killers today in goals? Impulsivity and procrastination. And what are the two strains? Confidence and emunah. Confidence and desire. So now we know what the famous formula is. So we have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, okay, if I'm not hitting what I want, do I have enough desire for that specific goal? That means if I really wanted to get married, I would delete some phone numbers that I shouldn't have on my phone. That means I really want to get married. Otherwise, yeah, Gedali, hook me up, and then you're still texting his one, that one. That's not really desire. You're not there yet. So that person will never bring it to tuition. And same thing, if he doesn't have emunah, why do we speak so much about emunah today? We're screaming emunah. Because if you don't believe you're going to hit it, you're not going to hit it. Because why would you put an effort in somebody you don't like? If a person doesn't realize that. If I like myself, I'm going all in 100%. But if I don't really like myself, then why should I put an effort for somebody I don't like? So again, these are all concepts that we've been speaking about. So we need ratzon and we need emunah. Those are the must. You must have those two. You have two goals, you better link enough emunah and link enough desire. Why do we think these classes, that all we talk about is constant hunger, constant desire, constant moving. Even if you fail, if you don't. As long as you have enough desire, you're going to eventually get what you want. That's what Rav Nachman says. It's not because you didn't receive nothing. It's not because, he says, either you didn't ask for it all or you didn't pray enough for it. That's the equation. He doesn't say, oh, this guy, he's a shlam mazel, he has no mazel, or that guy. You see, it's very easy to come up with stories. Very easy. So when something's not going, oh, it's this guy's fault, oh, that guy. No. He tells you very simple. If you don't receive anything, it's because you didn't want it or you didn't pray for it all. So what do we need to do? Increase our desire. The purpose of a desire is specifically for that goal that you need, tailored to your soul. How do you like that one? What a person struggle is, that's exactly what its tikkun is. How do you like that one? That means numbing. What do we do when a person numbs something? We don't want to deal with it. So when we numb something, what do? We're pressing it down. We're actually taking the keys to get out of jail, and we're putting it on the floor. That's when we numb something. So what we have to do is we have to sit there and say, that thing that I'm numbing is the key to my happiness. Because we all want to be happy, etc. So now you know the motivation equation. This is exactly spiritually. And remember, you are a co-creator with Hashem. We need to understand that we are a co-creator with Hashem. Anytime something is not working on a spiritual realm, we say very simple. I need to change my procedure, the way I'm looking at it, or I need to change my perception. Very simple. I speak to many people. I said, do you have a gratitude list every morning? No, I don't. What am I going to be grateful for? What do we do then? We can't just tell the guy, say gratitude. No. Whoa, we have a perception problem here. You're not seeing the world. Are you healthy? Oh, I never thought about that. Go to a hospital, see a guy who's not healthy. Do you have kids? Oh, I never thought about the kids. Oh, okay, why don't you go to in vitro and see a guy spending 300 grand on in vitro, he can't get pregnant. So again, perception, procedure or perception. Those are the two really things that when a person has to see something, that he's got to change those. So again, all of these classes are really to get you, okay, if something's not working, what do I need to do next? We want to get out of the why me mode into what's next. What's next is solutions. Why me is problems. If we stay in why me, you're going to say why me for a long time. We want to say, what's next? What do I need to do next? Why am I not hitting this goal? You know what? Very simple. My distractions are killing me. I can't stop watching TV. That's the impulsivity. I can't stop watching TV. Or I keep on procrastinating because I don't want my ego to risk me failing. Again, we all have to be real. When I did these formulas, very simple. Okay, this is a problem, I need to tweak this. This is a problem, I need to tweak this. I need to go up on this. And it's very simple because at least you have a game plan. It's practical. You're not questioning why did God do this? It's get next. What's the practicality? What do I need to do next? And this works amazingly. And this mirrors exactly creation, because creation started with Hashem having this light, and then He couldn't create a world with no people, so He had to condense His light in order to give man a free choice. And then, so that's what we have to do. We also have this abundant light, and we need to be able to put it into practicality. Let's say that I have these crazy goals. I want to make $1 billion next year. That's not going to excite you too much, because you know it's not realistic. So what happens? Even if we have goals and we're not too excited by the goals, you know what we need to do? We need to break down the goals into smaller pieces. Because again, too much light, the vessel's not big enough, it's going to shatter. The girl who wants to lose 20 pounds in 1 week, it's not happening. It's not happening. She can't do it. She doesn't have the vessel to have that kind of willpower. But what could she do? What's a realistic goal for her? Put down the Coca-Cola. No Coca-Cola for you for 1 week. You know, I can do that. That's a practical goal. Let's do that one. I have a vessel for that. Then what happens? She hits that goal. She just created a vessel. You understand? Now, what's the next goal? You know what? I can run 10 minutes of exercise. Why? No, let me run 3 miles. CrossFit. You go to one CrossFit, you're going to be in the hospital. You don't have the vessel to go to CrossFit right now. Maybe you will. But she can be optimistic to go to CrossFit, but her goals are too high for her vessel. But she can go on a treadmill for 15 minutes. But if she's shooting for CrossFit, when she should be running for a treadmill for 15 minutes, she's going to have a breaking of the vessel. And then what is she going to say? I tried. No, you shot too big. Shot too big. So we have to be careful today that sometimes we shoot too big and we get nothing. We get absolutely nothing. We get nothing. Sometimes you're shooting for the guy, it's too big. You get nothing. That's another thing we got to. So I realized sometimes my goals were too ambitious. I needed to think big but act small. And that's creation. And that's the vessel creation, expanding creation. So you're almost anything, when you do this, you're basically mindful with God your whole life. Because you're living creation. You're part of the creation. You are the co-creator. There's nobody to blame. You're the one holding the stick. You're the one holding the car. You're the one going everywhere. And it's very simple, because what does it teach you? It teaches you just to rechange your approach on life. Change the way you're looking at it. Change this. You know what? My shalom bayit's not working out. You know what? Guess what? Maybe I'm a little into myself. I need to make it seem sum. That means if I'm full, there's no room for somebody else. If my shalom bayit's not working out, I need to take a step down and let somebody in. It's an easy way to fix shalom bayit. Unfortunately today, most of the phone calls that people are dealing with today is they're not looking at the big picture. They're focused on details when they don't realize this is just it's a call from Hashem to get your attention. Don't focus on the details so much. Do you know which postman gave me the letter? Was it FedEx? Was it UPS? What's the difference? You got the letter. It came from Hashem. What do you need, a tracking number? The letter was to wake you up. Don't focus on the details. When we focus on the details of that particular thing, then what happens, we get caught in a concept called mochim kadnut. Mochim kadnut is small-mindedness. Remember, once you start, first a person, it's very important when I say this, first a person gives up on himself, and then he gives up on Hashem. So if I don't give up on myself, I'm not giving up on Hashem. I'm losing emunah in me. before I say I have no faith in Hashem anymore. Remember that. So this is why it's so important to plan properly in life and to be realistic, because what happens if I'm not realistic? What happens? Next thing you know, I'm throwing myself out the towel, and then I'm saying Hashem is unjustful. And then I'm really stuck in life because I don't have a solution. I don't have a solution. Then I'm going to go to therapy. He's going to tell me, oh, you have this problem, you have that problem, you have that problem. No, you weren't humble, and all you had to do is practical information. So that's why these classes, I don't want to just ba. You have to get people tools. These are all tools. The purpose of these classes are to give you tools. It's to basically say, what do I need to change in this strategy? You know what? I'm not dating. Dating's not going well so far. Maybe I'm looking for the wrong things. You know, at the end of the day, I tell people very simple. Most things that I've gotten and most things that I've seen people get, once they were married. That means this person was this person. Of course, you have to have a guy who has potential. There's no question. Laziness is nowhere in the picture. But usually the bracha in marriage comes when they're married. All my businesses that I opened up came when I was married. In every way. So usually the potential comes in the potential, because the blessing comes in marriage. So what happens if we're looking for too much in the beginning, it can come to you while you're married. That's where the blessing comes. So sometimes we're looking too much for a single guy that has this, but next thing you know, his level of potential is much more when he's married. So our job is really to develop a potential in somebody else. Like your job is to develop a potential in your partner, then you become a giver, and your partner is supposed to develop your potential. That's what, you know, when two people merge, two companies merge, they're originally merging to help each other out. They help each other out. The Baal Shem Tov says something very beautiful. He says, when a parent teaches a child to walk, he does so in the following manner. And this is exactly the relationship between you and Hashem. When a child walks 2 or 3 steps towards the parent, what does the parent do? Walk backwards. Why? Look how cruel he is. What do you mean he's walking backwards? Yeah, because he's teaching you how to walk. So what happens? We're constantly, this is our life, by the way. Where's Hashem? Today I feel like I'm having the greatest day. Tomorrow, it's like nothing happened. This despair, this illusion of darkness, but this is exactly how it's supposed to happen. That you're going to have where you're walking 2 steps towards the parent, and then the parent all of a sudden is moving back in order for the child to grow, to walk further. If I held the child's hand his whole life, he probably wouldn't go anywhere. So I have to have this concept. That's the tzimtzum. That's the contraction of the light. It appears that God's walking away from us. Meanwhile, He's only walking away from us to strengthen us. Which is I think it's an unbelievable, simple analogy that's happening to us every day. That it appears that Hashem is walking backwards, and he really is doing it for our favor. But then He'll be there the next day. So it's not that, again, don't think there's, God forbid, 2 energies, it's one. But Hashem sometimes has to give you a test. How? By creating a tzimtzum, removing himself from that presence so you can get tested. And he says when a child starts walking a bit more, the parent withdraws even further and makes the child even more. So basically, you're going to get in a position where you're going to have to invoke trust. What's the difference between emunah and trust today? Is action. Whether you take action or not, it depends on if you trust God or not. If a person trusts in Hashem, he takes action right away. Because he says, emunah is just a belief. Until I implement that belief into trust, it's only in potential. Where am I going with just potential? With just potential. I need to convert it. We need to convert. So this is exactly what happens. He constantly, we move closer, he walks away, he withdraws in order to get you stronger. Same thing, the Baal Shem Tov says the same thing. And he says when a person comes into a store, they sell many, many delicacies. You get all the beautiful chocolates, the beautiful potential where you could be. All of a sudden, they give you 2 pieces, and next thing you know what happens? You want another 2 pieces. No, now you have to earn it. Now you have to pay for it. So usually a person will get an inspiration for spirituality, inspiration. He feels no anxiety for 2-3 days. He's relaxed, and next thing you know, he gets a massive anxiety attack. How could that be? It's because you're hitting a new level. God gave you the taste of where you could be, but what happens when you have a taste? Now you got to earn it. Now you got to earn it. Same thing. We have to earn everything through that. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about this concept called, this book called. So, Gabrielle Odejen, she talks about that the downside of daydreaming was that people were just too calm. You know, sometimes you get really excited. You know, you get excited to do his bodhidut, you get excited to all of a sudden, you know, we gave that class last week on forgiving people. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Look at this mercy holding in the air. Okay, now I got to make phone calls. You didn't estimate that, you didn't think you were going to get a stomach ache when you were going to get the phone call, when you were going to make that phone call. Should I do it? Now you're putting it into action, but you were very pumped up. Right? But if we don't make that phone call, then it's just in potential. Only when we make the phone call, by the way, I want to forgive you after 25 years because my ego's got enough of it already. I'm done. I want to make peace with you. I want a different energy in the air for myself in Shemayim. So what happens? Now you got to make that phone call. That's what it hurts. That's the hurting. So he says she said the downside of dreaming is that we just end up in this la-la land. We become very calm and we don't take action. Yes, it calms you down. Daydreaming calms you down, but it doesn't give you realistic desire. We're looking for desire. I need hunger to hit my goals. Reb Nachman's going to tell us in lesson 66 that the key to hitting any goal is only through desire. It's not through daydreaming. So daydreaming just keeps you there. Unless I sit there and all of a sudden take that into a realistic action, it just becomes that. So she did this test originally with 20 years of research showing that this positive thinking of just positive thinking is not enough. I have to say, you know what? I have a beautiful garden, but guess what? I'm going to assume there's going to be 5 weeds today there. I'm not just going to walk out with my strawberry hat and picking. Okay, I have to pull that weed. I have to pull that weed. I have to pull that weed. That's realistic. I do have a beautiful garden, but there's things in my life that I don't like. And I'm going to have to shift my focus somewhere else because otherwise I get stuck there, unfortunately. So, like he's saying here, just having these, it gave them very warm, fuzzy feelings, but it wasn't very motivating. And in most of these people, they had the great desire to lose weight. They had great desires, but at the end of the day, the studies were showing that it wasn't happening because they weren't prepared. Where there are other people, they had more of a, okay, what happens if you're on a diet and you're going to have 5 donuts in your face? So the people that were realistic says, you know what, I'm probably going to go for those donuts. They already planned. What am I going to do when I see those donuts? They already had a realistic view, and they had a plan already on what to do. Those people lost 25% more weight than the people that were just in la-la land. The donut came, and they just ate. So again, we got to get out of la-la land. This is the same concept of what Hashem is telling us here. So she had this concept of mental contrasting. Mental contrasting means, I'm going on this date, but guess what? I know nothing's perfect, and if my whole job in life is to really help out my husband become the best coach, then I have to be ready to be a coach. There's a good chance I'm going to get 3 comments I don't like, or maybe he's not going to dress nice. But I'm optimistic that we can change everything. But if I'm looking for the perfect, guess what? I didn't plan the obstacle, I didn't plan the comment, I didn't plan the thorn, I didn't plan this, and next thing you know, you get the rose, you get the thorn, and you're bleeding. Look what happened to me. You didn't plan properly. Remember, I can't have anything spiritual or anything good in my life without klipot, without barriers, because that's what's actually creating the vessel for it to grow. You understand? So it has to, you have to go through the struggle. You have to go through it. It's part of life. Now, our job is to ask Hashem that we should make these struggles that we can handle. How? By prayer. Prayer. Person prays, what does he do? He's asking God to sweeten the judgment. Reb Nachman says in lesson 23 that in order to make money, we're going to have to scream out 140 times. Just like a woman. Where do I go where I don't have contractions? I don't know, go to Atlanta. You're going to have contractions. If a woman thinks she's not going to have contractions, even if she goes to Atlanta, she goes to Miami, contractions are coming out, turbulence is coming out. What we can do is we can scream out in prayer. That's the option. Either I scream out in business or in headaches, or I scream out in prayer. That means if I wake up at 30 minutes and all of a sudden I pray, or 20 minutes of prayer, I'm screaming out for God to help me. That reduces the screaming out in other things. So our job is to minimize it. What we want to do is we want to minimize the judgment. So mental contrasting was having the mental contrast, having the dream, but already saying, what's going to happen? What do I do if I get nervous on a date? What do I do if I see this that I don't like on a date? What do I do this? It's already creating a realistic vessel approach, so you're more open-minded. What's the one thing that the ego does? Number one job of the ego. It specifically blocks your perception. That's the number one job of the ego. It blocks your vision. Like you speak to a person that says, you know what? I see you're really struggling. You can't even get out of bed. Let me help you. No, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what to do. You're in bed. How could you know what to do? So it keeps you in a state of, you don't want to hear anybody. The ego will block any kind of ideas. So it doesn't make you open-minded. If a person's not open-minded, his chances are he's not going to get what he wants. So again, mental contrasting is dream. You can have the positive dream, but already assume there's going to be some kind of obstacles, and you're comfortable with them because that's part of creation, etc. And then we need to act. Okay? That's called implementation. Also, she came up with this concept called implementation intentions. That means if this happens, I do this. For example, there's a good chance that if a person's trying to work out, and all of a sudden he wants to work out, next thing you know, when he knows when he gets home, he's going to be very tired. And he's probably not going to go to the gym. If I feel like this, I'm going to bring my bag into the car. I'm going to bring my bag to the gym, and then I'm going to go straight from the gym. So we created an if then. Okay? So again, we have to brainstorm. Mental contrasting means believing, but at the end of the day, planning, being realistic on the obstacles. It could be that I'm doing the 40-day challenge. There's a good chance that I could fall 3 to 4 times before I get to 40 days. If I think I'm going to hit it on the first shot, then all of a sudden I don't get it. What are you going to say? I tried, it wasn't meant to be. No. There's a good chance I could have 3 to 4. Or when I have rough days, we already spoke about that usually people come to despair when they lose emunah. Right? What happens when a person loses emunah? He's going to go into all of a sudden, this is where the Yetzer Hara really gets the person. If I have a bad day at work, what do? If I have a bad day, then I go to the spa. I change my state. I do this. We want to create an if-then. If this happens, then I do this. So it already prepares you already to, again, not have this daydreaming, Yetzer Hara, creating this doomsday scenario in your life. It teaches you to create, okay, if this happens, then I do this. If I get into an argument with my wife, what do? I step away for 20 minutes, I go for a walk, then I revisit the conversation in another hour. Imagine what would that do to a person shalom bayit? Instead of reacting, he starts responding. So she came out with this concept called Whoop, which is amazing. And she actually has an app for it too. So what is Whoop? Whoop is wish. The first stands for wish. What is my wish? Okay? The second is my outcome. This is my wish, this is my outcome. Now, what's the other O? Plan the obstacles, which is exactly what Rav Nachman's telling you. Realizing that every single time you're going to get a rose, every time you're going to get anything new, you're going to actually fall. This whole concept in Chassidut speaks to us about you have to go from a fall in order to go up. There has to be a yiridah in order to have an aliyah. If I don't know that, I'm in a dark place. Because what happens when I have a fall? I feel terrible. What happens? I have to have that fall in order to go up. Why does Hashem do that to us? It's because it keeps us super humble. It keeps us super humble. Every time you one day you're doing great, another day you realize how out of control you are in your life. That even if you try to do everything right, you're completely out of control. And then you have to rely on Hashem, which is the ultimate key. Hashem wants to put you in a situation where you have no other option but to rely on Him. And when we try to take control, what's the suffering today that we're trying, when people suffer today, is when they want to control life instead of letting Hashem control their life. So He puts you in darkness where you have to scream out and ask him for help, then he gives you. So all we really have to do is scream out and ask for help once we're in that darkness situation. Because you have no other option. You have no other option. You're going to have to go through this. It's part of creation. And this is why specifically, the day really starts in Judaism, really starts in Arvit. Arvit, that's why it says when we say Shema, Ve'emunah ba'leilot. You have to have emunah in the night. And then what happens? All of a sudden I wake up with a brand new, fresh energy. So at the time of Shachris, the time of morning prayers, I'm very motivated. I have plenty of energy. The day's long. And then what happens in the afternoon? Mincha. All of a sudden the energy is dwelling. It's diminishing. Why is it diminishing? Because a new day is being created. Is it bad? No. A new day has to be created. So mincha the day has to come to an end for a new creation to take place. Sometimes there has to be a fight in a relationship for them to have a brand new relationship, because through that fight they're going to basically remake their kelim, remake their vessels. So, because we can't have peace all the time, because remember, Hashem wants to get your attention, He wants you to get you close. If everything is great for us all the time, He's not going to get our attention. We're probably going to do it, and we're going to forget, and we're going to think that we're controlling everything in life. So this is a good check system. By the way, I know you think you're the greatest, but let me just remind you in 1 minute how quickly I can change your life. It's only to get you closer to Hashem and to reveal His kingship. So again, wish, the W is the wish, the O is the outcome, the other O is the obstacle, and then you got to get planning. And you got to get the plan. That's the plan. That's the famous formula. I've used this formula for business. I've used this formula for relationships. I use this formula for everything. And it's exactly what Rav Nachman says. Lesson 66. What does he say? He says here, all the barriers and obstacles which a person has is only one person. One reason why you have obstacles. It's to heighten your yearning. He's not happy. A person in this world, there's nothing worse than being a C student. It's better, Hashem would rather you fail so you can get a new way of looking at it and become an A student than just to become a C student. Because that's complacency. There's no livelihood. There's no reality. So when a person is just in borderline, he's just a C student, then what is he serving Hashem? He's serving Hashem out of an obligation. He's not excited. That's the problem. Because when we're not excited to serve Hashem, what happens? We start becoming robots. And we start praying with our heart. And we start, even just like you're in a relationship that you don't really like. It's just obligation. I have to be here for her. I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that. You lose the heart. Same thing as you see a team. They're playing with no heart. You're like, wake up. What's with this team? They're playing with no heart. Wake up. Same thing. So we don't want that. We want the always moving up and down. Otherwise, the guy's dead, flatlined. So this is specifically why it's so important. So it says here, the heighten his yearning for that holy deeds which he needs to accomplish. It is part of man's nature that the greater the barrier, the greater the goal. It's exactly what his whole life is dependent upon. That 40-day challenge, your whole life is dependent upon. Now, if I can't do it by myself, then what do I need to do? I need to get enough leverage. What does leverage mean? That if I don't do it, what is my life going to be if I continue with this behavior? What is my life going to be if I continue eating the way I live? How am I going to be like that in 5 years? So when a person says, wow, this is going to be like me in 5 years like this, that's going to give him enough pain to saying, I need to change now. So if we can't get it the nice way, through inspiration, then we have to get it through desperation. When a guy says, "Listen, I'm not so interested in this whole shalom bayit thing. You know what? I want to do my own thing. Oh, by the way, you're gonna have to give away half of your money in a divorce. Oh, where do I need to go? Which class? Send me the class. Send me whatever you need to send me." All of a sudden, the game changed once the guy has leverage of losing 50% of his money. Everything just shifted completely in his life. So when we're not getting it through inspiration, then we're going to get it through desperation. Remember, which is leverage. So we don't want leverage, because at the end of the day, it's going to be very painful that way. I'd rather do it through inspiration. I'd rather have a goal, but be realistic on what's going to happen. And we have to understand also, you can't hit a goal that's not there. You can't hit a target that's not there. We are meant to hit goals. Part of a person getting dopamine today is very simple. The slow process in hitting a goal. It's a process. That's the whole process. That means part of hitting a normal person hits a goal. That's why today, when back then the person had to go to a date, he had to 3-4 dates. It was part of the process. Now 2 seconds, the guy has a date. He didn't earn it. He didn't earn it. People are not earning things. So they're used to the dopamine really quickly, and then when it comes to work, no, I don't have the patience. So where do we work now? Now that we need to go from potential to actual. How do I use the energy of Kabbalah to hit that? What is Keter? Keter represents desire. That's the highest energy. Any time that I'm stuck in anything that I am stuck spiritually, I'm stuck financially, I'm stuck anything, I can always tap into the energy of Keter, which is the energy to restart. I can always say, you know what, today I'm restarting my day. That's the energy of Keter. It's available for you all the day. All you have to do is stop the movie and say, you know what, I don't like the way the day's going. By 2 o'clock, I'm a brand new person. That was the secret to Rav Nachman's teachings. He would find a way to restart constantly. You walk into a gym, I don't feel like working out. Go to the steam, come back, I'm a new person. Do that 10 times a week. Because we don't feel. We're too dependent on our feelings. So again, use the energy of Keter. Where do I use the energy of Chachma? Chachma is the thought. Chachma means the thought. It means the right side of my brain. But if that thought doesn't have Bina, Bina is understanding. Bina represents something that's restricted. A wife represents Bina, the woman. Because what happens is you want to do what you want, and your wife's going to tell you what to do. So now you don't have all this light. Now you have to basically negotiate on one thing. So Bina represents the left. The left represents a person having constricted, bringing that light into reality, which is the key. And then you have Dat. When you have Chachma and when you have Bina, then you have Dat. Remember, we can learn Kabbalah all day long and just meditate on names and just do all these wonderful things. But if you're not using it for gold, if you're not using it for other things, and what are you going to do? You're going to feel good for 10 minutes. Next thing you know, you're back in the same thing. No, you have to use the Kabbalah. You have to use the energy of Kabbalah to live, not to just meditate on names and maybe you're going to hear a voice. That's not going to really do much for you. This is going to do much because I could say, right now, how do I use practical Kabbalah? I'm going to use the energy of Keter right now to restart. So Chachma is a thought. Bina represents a person's restricting. When a person does teshuvah, where does he go? He goes to Bina. When a baby dirties his diapers, where does he go? To the mother. Bina represents mother. Anytime we do teshuvah, we have to go back to Bina. Okay? Which is usually something that we didn't picture the right way. Bina represents a person's perception. He didn't get it the right way, so we always have to go to Bina. Okay? Then we have Dat. Now we have Chochma. What is Chochma? Oh, I'm sorry. Now we have Chesed. What does Chesed represent? Being good to yourself. That means if I'm not hitting my goals right now, I can't call myself a loser. I can't verbally abuse myself by telling myself horrible things. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I have to have Chesed on myself. I have to be good to myself. I have to be kind to myself and say, you have this. You basically have to try to talk nice to yourself. That's how you have Chesed on yourself. How? Now I have to use Gevura. How do I use Gevura? I have to restrain. If I want to lose weight, what do I have to do? I have to restrain from eating what I don't want. I have to use restrain. How do I restrain? I have to restrain from listening to my feelings and letting my behavior determine my feelings. That's how I use the energy of Gevura. These are all energies we can tap into. You understand? Next thing is what? Tiferet. What does Tiferet represent? It's the truth. Many times a person's all of a sudden he's quitting and he's blaming other people. It's not the truth. Connected to Tiferet. Anytime we shift our mindset and we connect to these energies, then all of a sudden we're back on the map again. You're back on the map again. And then we have Netzach, which is the right leg. Netzach represents a person having endurance, realizing that I have to have a good month, not a good day. It's an endurance. It's a picture. It's a process. I need to have patience. It's not a short-term thing. It's a long-term thing. That's patience. That's Netzach. Then we go back to the other side, which is Hod. Hod represents humility. It represents gratitude. That means I'm going to fall on my face. I'm going to have to use the energy of Hod, which appears to be bad, to be able to get myself up. Because Hod represents Hoda'ah, humility, submissiveness. Knowing that I wanted to have a bigger goal, but I'm not hitting that bigger goal. What do I have to do when I'm not hitting that bigger goal? I might have to be humble and say, you know what? I'm going to go for the 15 minutes on the treadmill and maybe take down those CrossFit posters for maybe a couple months. I'll have those CrossFit posters, but if you're just meditating on CrossFit and you haven't even got on a treadmill for 15 minutes, nothing's going to happen. Not the treadmill, not the CrossFit. Zero. That's how we abort goals. So Hoda'ah allows us to be humble and realize I'm going to have to restart using that energy of Hoda'ah. See, all the times, if you listen to the classes, you apply, okay, this is what I'm feeling, where do I need to connect to right now? You connect to that energy, you restart. There's no excuses, you restart. It gets you right back on the horse. What's the second one? Yesod, the foundation. Yesod is a person's brit. Yesod represents the foundation. I would say a person's desires on that. I can have these goals, but if my lifestyle is not allowing me to hit my goals, because I'm having my life is taking hold of me, that's going to. And the last one is faith, is malchut. Malchut means every single goal that I want, if it's not backed up with prayer, it's not going to give the legs for that goal to go. So this is practically, again, how we use the energy of Kabbalah. This is practically how we get motivated. Remember, Keter, it's the highest energy possible. It represents both patience, it represents both renewal, it represents the highest level of humility, which is restarting. So that's the Keter. So any time that we're off, the key is, it's how fast do you get up? And if a person is not motivated yet, then he has to what? He has to increase his desire or increase his confidence in himself. Maybe you don't believe you're going to hit it. I can have a desire, but I know I'm not realistic. Then what happens? My mind and my body are not feeling. See, when your mind is on something, because the thoughts are the language of the mind, and feelings are the language of the body. How do I know I'm not going to really hit something? I'm just BSing myself when I don't feel it. See, that's your body knows. When I know I'm going to hit something, guess what? I'm pumped up. I'm excited. But when you're not excited, is that your body's not feeling what your mind is saying. So that's the indication. When Gabriel Odegen put on mental contrasting, when she put the barriers next to the guy daydreaming, okay, now you're daydreaming, let's put it to action. How did she know if that person was going to hit the goal or not? If they were excited. So if the goal should really excite you, that means your mind and your body are together. But if you're not excited, then your mind is there and your body's not there. You need to have confidence in yourself. The confidence is missing. And then, obviously, we have to divide it by our impulsivity and our delays. We have to ask ourselves, how much is our impulsivity? That's why I know myself. I said, I have to do all my spirituality by 9:30. That means I have to wake up for my Hisbodedut, I have to pray, I have to meditate, I have to learn, I have to do all the things. Because once 9:30, 10 comes, there's no way I'm going to control what happens between 10 to 5. Things happen, customers, this, that, a million things can happen. There's no way I'm going to be able to control that. So I really focus on controlling my mornings and controlling my nights. During the day, I can't control what's going to happen. You can't control anything during the day, but you can control the mornings. So if you master the mornings and you master the nights, then you can handle a tough day. But if you don't have the master of the mornings and the nights are completely out of whack, then you're never going to be able to develop that potential. All right? That's today's class.